Mm. So all of the evidence that they're using against him or for him, whether it be the prosecution or the defense, it seems like it's mainly coming from Cassie. So what did they actually seize from his house that they're using against him in this case?
So right now, at this moment, the agent that testified earlier today, she was the one that ran the search for his hotel when he got arrested in New York, right? So
Hmm.
obviously, that's not going to be as evidence rich as his homes. So what I predict is going to happen, actually, I'm certain this is going to happen, they're probably going to call at least three HSI special agents that were at each search scene. Okay. So they did a search in November, excuse me, in September when they arrested him here in Manhattan at the hotel. Then they did a search in Miami at his mansion
Yep.
there. And then I think they did another search in LA, if I'm not mistaken. So what I predict is the next two agents that testify are probably going to be agents that were present at the at those two search warrants because you need someone to testify that was there with the evidence as to where it was found, how it was found, etc. And this woman was there on the New York search. She pretty much like ran it. So we didn't get as much in the search that they did in New York. They found a bunch of baby oil, ketamine, fluorescent lights, lube, sexual stuff. So it confirmed like what Cassie said as far as like you know using the
A
baby oil and all that
lifestyle.
other stuff. But I
Yeah.
think was that my mic cut out?
No, no, no. You're right. You good.
Yeah. So what I predict is the houses have more information. Now I know for a fact the Miami house, they found an AR-15 with a scratched off serial number. Now that's a federal crime, and I'm actually surprised that they didn't charge him with the obliterated serial number. That for that AR-15. But I predict that it, probably would have been more trouble than it's worth because they got really serious charges on him already. So why, step over $100 bills to pick up quarters?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm actually very interested to see what they're going to find at the houses. But again, the search team in New York also made that blunder I told you guys about before, where they took $9,000 of cash that they found in one of his bags, which was, I think, a very rookie move and stupid, and opened themselves up to questioning that quite frankly shouldn't even have come because she was smooth during her whole testimony. It was only when the money came up that the defense was able to kind of attack her. And as an agent, you want to stay away from getting beat up on cross examination.
So was did this really all start because of Cassie's original um claim, or were they already investigating him?
That's a damn good question. Um, I'm hoping that like they bring on a. So I know for a fact they're going to bring on at least three agents that were heading each of the search warrants. What I'm hoping is they're going to bring an agent on that was actually involved in the investigation from the beginning, right? That interviewed the witnesses, that was alongside the case agent, helping them out. Because cases big like this, typically there's a main case agent, and then he's going to have one to two what's called co-case agents. And typically the case agent never testifies. It's typically a bad look. But maybe one of his co-case agents will testify, and they're going to be the ones that more than likely reveal how this case initiated. Right now, I think it probably kind of came right around the time that she filed the lawsuit and it got settled. But I wouldn't be surprised if there was an open case from before, and Cassie was finally the missing piece that they needed to go after her. Well, actually, no, hold on, wait one sec. I just thought of something. So again, we're getting really in the weeds here. When they did the search warrant in Miami, right? One of the agents that was doing the search warrants got photographed by the press. And me being the autistic person I am, I zoomed in on the evidence bag, right? That he was carrying out the mansion in Miami. And I looked at the case number. And when I looked at the case number, that tells you everything you need to know because it's coded in a certain way, but obviously I worked for HSI, so I know what all the codes are. And if I'm not mistaken, uh, it said it either started in fiscal year 2022, 2023, or 2024. That's what it was. I'd have to go back and look at my notes, but I could feel pretty confident telling y'all that the case started somewhere in that range. But also keep in mind, again, getting in the weeds, the government operates on what's called the fiscal year. So October 1st is the beginning of the year. So what could
Yeah.
have happened was, the case started at another time, but it might give the impression that it was actually starting that time because it goes off of, October 1st.
Did they mention anybody of significance, like any famous people?
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
So today, one of the points of contention was they talked about how Diddy often took her phone. And one of so they asked her, hey, we heard that you got your phone taken away on multiple occasions, and this time 2013, and she couldn't recall. So, they just kind of said in open court, yeah, you danced with Chris Brown, didn't you? She's like, oh, well, I don't remember him taking my phone for that. And then they showed her a text message where it literally showed that, which their offense is like fucking, 10 years plus ago. Who else came up? Michael B. Jordan came up that she potentially had an affair with him. Obviously, Kid Cudi. Um, who else? Ryan Leslie, uh, Nicki Minaj, and then not necessarily aligned to the case, but Cassie talked on the stand today about the artists that she worked with. Nicki Minaj, Rick Ross, who else? Lil Wayne, a couple other names I can't think of right now at the top of my head. And the reason that came up is because the defense made the argument like, look, you talk all this stuff about Diddy holding your career back or whatever, but quite frankly, he put you in position to meet a lot of artists, names of the artists you work with, and that's where she named it. But those are the
Mm.
names that have been named in the case. But as far as like being involved with her directly, Ryan Leslie, Michael B. Jordan, Chris Brown, DJ Wu Kid came up briefly, uh, Britney Spears, and I think that's what I could think of off the top of my head.
Mm.
Is that
Uh,
Myron? Is that quote true? That she said that Nicki Minaj said to her like,
Sorry, what was that? Yeah, I heard Nicki Minaj, a quote about Nicki Minaj.
was the quote true?
Uh,
That
which
she
quote?
said Nicki Minaj said, because the reporting outlets are saying that Nicki Minaj said that she should just be happy that she's a star.
No, that's false. That didn't come up in court. Nicki Minaj was only
Okay.
brought up when the defense tried to ask her, because okay, to make this make sense, one of the big complaints that Cassie had was her career was stifled and she couldn't progress her career because she felt like Diddy would blackmail her with the Freakoff videos. So what the defense did to counter it, and once again, this is why his defense team is really fucking good. They said, really? So Diddy stifled your career? Tell me how he was able to get you songs with Rick Ross, Nicki Minaj, blah, blah, blah. And they named all the artists she worked with to kind of rebut that claim that she made about being blackballed or potential blackmail. And that's how Nicki Minaj's name came up. It was strictly in a music sense.
Oh, so that must be. I read that they were trying to go into the start of her career before she even met Diddy to ask her, like, were you successful before you even met him? And she tried to make it seem like her career as a model was successful. I'm guessing that that's why they went down that road of questioning with her.
No, I think they went down that road because she kept talking about being blackballed and only releasing one album, despite the fact she was on a 10 album deal, and she feels as though these freak offs took up so much of her time that she wasn't able to focus on her music. According to her, they were doing a freak off damn near every week, and these freak offs can last somewhere between 24 hours to 4 days, and on top of that, they were using ridiculous amounts of drugs. So after the freak off, she had to take more time to recover. So by the time she kind of got back around to recovering from the drugs, it's time to do another freak off. So that was one of her main gripes. She also mentioned today that she had an opportunity to shoot a music video with Common and Diddy denied it. Uh, and that was something else that came up. But that's why the Nicki Minaj situation came up to kind of disprove her claim that Diddy was blackballing her.
has there been any talks of her stealing some money from Diddy?
No, that came. She stole drugs from Diddy. She didn't steal money from him. That's I think another misconception. And the reason why that's relevant is because her story is, she didn't even say she stole the drugs. She said that Diddy accused her of stealing drugs from him, and while they were like in France or something like that, and he went mad. And when they were coming back to the United States, what ended up happening was on the plane ride back, he was showing her a video of her during a freak off and threatened to release that video.
Mm.
Whoa.
Which is kind of,
Mm.
again, see, it's crazy because like every time I give y'all a piece of evidence, it's like I kind of have to give you guys the other side. So let me just give you the other side. So first she says, yeah, Diddy, I was afraid that Diddy would blackmail me with these, freak off videos, right? First he says that. Then the defense, and this is what I'm saying, Diddy's defense team is fucking good, man. They come in and say, really, Diddy was going to release these these freak off videos. Explain to us why you're the one that has all the footage. Explain to us why Diddy had spent tens of thousands of dollars to ensure that videos didn't get out, because there was a couple instances where they had like real potential security threats with things getting leaked. There was one escort named like Johnny OD or some shit, and another guy that were talking about the sex tape. So Diddy went to great lengths to make sure that that stuff was concealed, which was contradictory to Cassie's stance, where he wanted to release these videos. Now, you can make the argument, right, that the videos that Diddy was going to release might have not necessarily had him in there, but you can also make the argument that releasing those videos would actually hurt him professionally. Because one thing I will say about this case that I've, noticed is that Diddy did a really fucking good job of ensuring that people didn't find out about his degenerative lifestyle. And that's precisely why this case is so sensational, is because a lot of the stuff that's coming to light right now is stuff that like maybe 90% of the population didn't know about unless you were actively in the music industry.
Mm. Yeah, it's a lot to take in. I
Yeah,
will say,
it's a lot, bro. That's why it's like for everything that like Cassie says, like the defense has like kind of a counter, and then on top of that, then the government has another counter for that. So when it comes to lawyers, the lawyers are good. And yeah, the whole situation that we're discussing before, when it comes to Diddy and like his due process, like, look, my thing is, and Anton, you know this, I'm a big free speech guy, I'm a big constitutionalist guy. So my thing is like, even if someone's a criminal, or I suspect them to be a criminal, his right to a fair trial overtakes and overrides Cassie's, pregnancy. Because we're talking about, this is going to be a life sentence for Diddy if he gets convicted. He's looking at, 20, 30, 40 years plus. And the man's 55, guys. He's done a good job of like making himself look young in the media by dyeing his hair jet black, but he is actually very old. So, there's a reason why he put this team together. And from what I understand, he spent like 10M on this team.
really.
The
That's
fuck?
what I was told. That's what I was told. And who knows if that's just pre-trial. Like at the end, I'm sure he's probably gonna get another bill because they're working around the clock, dude. Because every time, so like when you walk into a courtroom, right, the jurors aren't there. The judge gets on the bench at like 9, right? When he gets on the bench, he basically the defense and the prosecutors are arguing for like 30 to 40 minutes. Then the jurors come in, and these arguments pretty much end up where it's like, okay, we'll do this, we'll do that. Okay, we agree to do this, agree to do that. But they got to stay late and like actually get that shit fulfilled because the judge goes irate if the stuff isn't ready when the jurors are there. And this is another thing I think is very important for your audience to realize. Whenever these trials come, right, the judge. Yo, what's up, man? Oh, thank you. Appreciate the support, bro. Thank you. I'm live right now, actually. So. Hey, hey, man. Repeal the 19th. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh,
No, you was
so
yeah.
so they're doing
Judge.
a lot of work behind the scenes because they have to have everything ready because the judge, had made it a point like, look, I don't want these jurors waiting around while you guys are trying to figure this shit out during the trial, right? Like we should have had some of this shit done before. And I think an important note, this is what I was getting to. Judges always prioritize the jurors over the attorneys, right? And what I mean by that is like the jurors are already, expending an incredible amount of time. Yeah. The podcast, yeah. Nice to meet you too, bro. Um, so what was I gonna say?
No,
So
you
the
were
judge
saying
is
he
always gonna
prioritized the
be.
jurors. Yeah.
Yeah, the judge is always going to be more concerned with protecting the jurors' time and ensuring that they get the main priority because in his eyes, well, most in every judge's eyes, they look at it as like a civil duty and like civic duty, and these guys are like going out of their way and losing money and losing time to help the court's case. So every single time he's always looking at the jury and making sure that the attorneys have their shit together before he brings the jury in. So I think that's another important fact, important thing for your audience to kind of know is that before the jurors come in, there's like they're going back and forth arguing about evidence and bringing shit in. Like I know one of the things that they had a big fucking argument about. Two main things. Number one, getting Cassie off the stage by today, Friday, which they were able to successfully do, and the other thing was the sexually explicit images from the Freakoffs. So the government was trying to be in a position where they can bring this stuff in without making Cassie look bad. So what they all settled on was they were only going to use still images from the Freakoffs, and they wouldn't let the public see it. Only the jury and the judge and the parties involved can see it. But when we were there in the courtroom, we couldn't see any of it, and it's the only exhibits that weren't made public to the audience.
Hmm.
Are you
And
going
that
to cover this all the way till the end of July? I mean, I'm sorry, all the way
um,
till July?
No, I'm probably gonna head back to Miami next week. I might stay out here till like maybe Monday, Tuesday. But I'm not going to be there the whole time. I got to get back to Miami, man. New York sucks, and we got to do the other stuff. But what I will say is I'm gonna definitely come back out here. Anton, actually, bro, open invitation. When I come back for closing arguments, because that's gonna be one of the most important things, bro. You should
Yeah,
come out here and
I'll be
see
out
what's
there.
going on.
I'll be out there.
Yeah, bro. We could do some film some shit and give people updates and shit like that in real time.
All right, bet. That's cool. I'm with it. Man, I
Yeah.
appreciate you, bro. Thank you for showing love and popping up, bro.
Hey, man, you show me love, bro. So I had to come in here and answer questions because there's a lot of people talking some bullshit about this trial. And the problem is that a lot of these hip hop bloggers and a lot of these people that cover this shit, like, let's be honest, bro, they don't really know how the federal system works. They don't really know how
Yeah,
investigations are done. So I'm
yeah.
able to kind of like go in there and look at things a lot differently. Like, I'll give you a perfect example of what I mean. So the first day I got in the courtroom, right? I didn't even give a fuck about looking at the jury box, whatever. I immediately looked at like the courtroom setup. I looked at, okay, these are where the AUSAs are sitting. Okay, the case agents over here. Okay, they got 4 marshals fucking covering Diddy. That's weird. Okay, they got 5 court security officers. Okay, that's weird. Okay, they got this bench empty. So I was, and then I noticed like there was like 5 HSI agents in the back, right, and with folded chairs. Why do they have folded chairs in the fucking courtroom when there's a bunch of benches? Then I find out, oh, that's because they're there for Cassie, right? They're the ones escorting her to and from the courthouse to ensure
Mhm.
her safety.